Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me for my daily Come Follow Me study of the Book of Mormon. Today is Monday the 8th, and we're going to start with a daily reflection on the on the Book of Mormon. See, it's still in there, still a habit. All right, by the time we get to the Doctrine and Covenants, then it'll feel natural to say Book of Mormon. All right, April 8th. He has given a law, and where there is no law given, there is no punishment. And where there is no punishment, there is no condemnation. And where there is no condemnation, the mercies of the Holy One of Israel have claim upon them because of the atonement. 2 Nephi chapter 9, verse 25. Often we hear the comment, "That's not fair." In fact, even those who walk by the light of faith in the restored gospel will encounter a myriad of situations that, for the time being at least, are simply not fair. Not every imbalance or inequity will be corrected in this life. Complete fairness will not come until the Lord's entire plan for the happiness of his children has been put into effect and the playing field of life has been leveled. But more than being fair, our God is forevermore just and merciful. Thus, an unconditional benefit of the atonement is that no one will be eternally disadvantaged for not living the gospel when he or she was ignorant of it, and no one will be punished for not receiving an ordinance that was not available. Okay. All right, so this week we're doing Jacob chapter 5, which is the allegory of the olive tree. Today we do verses 1 through 15, and in this so far, we have the Lord of the vineyard seeing that his old olive tree, the house of Israel, is starting to decay. And so he has a servant come with him, and they prune it, they dig about it, they cut off the top branches, and they graft in some wild olive tree branches, and then they take these branches, some they burn, and others they graft into other trees, and he tells the servant to watch the tree, and they work on it continually. They try to save the tree. That's what's happening in these first 15 verses. Now, long suffering. Which verse? I don't know. I don't know which one exemplifies long suffering. The fact that they're just working with the tree, I suppose. I could pick maybe 15. And it came to pass that a long time passed away, and the Lord of the vineyard said unto his servant, "Come, let us go down into the vineyard, that we may labor in the vineyard." We can choose that one. Long suffering is proving to be a very difficult one to find verses for. I'm learning that. Because it's a very, specific. Like hope, you can find anything for hope, I think. And charity, you can find anything for charity. And humility, I don't know. Those seemed easier to find. I'm having a more difficult time with long suffering. Okay. With long suffering, it's basically just like, for me, that's how the Lord is dealing with me. He's working a long time. This is how the Lord sees the world. The plan of salvation is a very long-suffering plan. It's taken its time. What, honey? What?
Can you tell Mason don't go to Wendy anymore?
Yeah, why?
Because he's like a little bit not. That's a little bit trying to go to sleep, but he's not.
Okay. All right. Are you going to lay in my bed until I'm done?
No.
What are you going to do?
I just want somebody to wake up so I can play with.
Okay, well, don't wake up Zachary. Okay, let's get into our commentary. Okay, do not wake up Mason. Do not wake up Mason. Do not wake up Wendy. Okay, she came in late last night. Do not wake her up. Go lay in my bed, okay? Honey, if you wake up anybody else. Okay, don't wake up anybody. Okay. All right. The words of the prophet Zenos. Zenos is a Hebrew prophet of the lineage of Joseph, whose writings are included in the brass plates and are thus available to the Book of Mormon prophets. As cited by Nephi, Zenos prophesied that the Redeemer will be buried in a sepulchre after his crucifixion, with 3 days of attending darkness experienced by those who should inhabit the isles of the sea, more especially given unto those who are of the house of Israel. Zenos also prophesies of the widespread natural calamities that will occur at the time, with the result that many of the kings of the isles of the sea shall be wrought upon by the Spirit of God to exclaim, "The God of nature suffers," while those in Jerusalem will be scourged and scattered and reject the Holy One of Israel. Okay, I'm going to read this one thing. President Joseph Fielding Smith provides a wonderful framework in which to view and interpret the allegory and parable, as he calls it. The parable of Zenos, recorded by Jacob in chapter 5 of this book, is one of the greatest parables ever recorded. This parable, in and of itself, stamps the Book of Mormon with convincing truth. No mortal man, without the inspiration of the Lord, could have written such a parable. It is a pity that too many of those who read the Book of Mormon pass over and slight the truths which it conveys in relation to the history, scattering, and final gathering of Israel. Such members of the church unto whom attention has been called to the great significance of this parable have said they fail to comprehend it. It is simple and very clear to the minds of those who earnestly seek to know the truth. No man without divine inspiration could have written such a parable as this. In brief, it records the history of Israel down through the ages, the scattering of the tribes to all parts of the earth, their mingling with or being grafted in the wild olive trees, and in other words, the mixing of the blood of Israel among the Gentiles, by which the great blessings and promises of the Lord of Abraham are fulfilled. After Abraham had been proved even to the extent of being willing to offer Isaac as a sacrifice, the Lord blessed him with the greatest of blessings, and said unto him, By myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. This remarkable parable portrays how, as branches of the olive tree were carried to all parts of the earth and grafted into the wild olive trees, thus they are fulfilling the promise that the Lord had made. Today, Latter-day Saints are going to all parts of the world as servants in the vineyard to gather this fruit and lay it in store for the time of the coming of the Master. This parable is one of the most enlightening and interesting in the Book of Mormon. How can any person read it without feeling the inspiration of this ancient prophet? No. We'll get into that tomorrow. Tomorrow. We'll get into more of that tomorrow. We've got 5 days of Jacob chapter 5, so we'll be fine. Okay. Let's end the Come Follow Me portion of this video with a daily reading on prayer. It's day 99. And this one is Jean R. Cook, Humility and Prayer. In the Doctrine and Covenants, the Lord directly connected humility to answered prayers when he said, "Be thou humble, and the Lord thy God shall lead thee by the hand and give thee answer to thy prayers." When we are humble, we feel our dependency on the Lord. Because of this feeling of dependency, we reach out to him for help and guidance in many areas, and have open hearts and minds to receive it. Some people argue that we shouldn't trouble the Lord about little things. In a way, that's a spirit of pride, a spirit of wanting to do things on one's own, rather than a desire to discover and to do the Lord's will. We hear much in the world about being self-sufficient and self-confident. We hear much about learning to do things on our own. After all, didn't the Lord bless us with good minds and the ability to think things through and reason them out on our own? Yet the attitude takes us away from the spirit of humility and a reliance on the Lord. Certainly the Lord would have us do all that is in our power to do, but if we take the attitude of self-reliance to an extreme, we will begin to think that we can live our lives without his help. Nephi addressed this very issue. Are there some things I ought not to pray about, or should I pray about everything? If that's true, why don't we do it? Why is it we go on day after day depending on our own strength? Then he makes this significant statement, "For if you would hearken unto the spirit which teacheth a man to pray, ye would know that ye must pray. For the evil spirit teacheth not a man to pray, but teacheth him that he must not pray." The Lord wants us to grow and become strong and to be able to do much good, but through it all, he wants us to be dependent on the Spirit of the Lord for direction. I think this one speaks to me on a level of doing things on my own. Like, well, we've talked about it, about how I should be going to the Lord and be like, how do I do this? How do I become humble? How do I become charitable? How do I become compassionate? You know, instead of me doing, okay, I'm going to read these talks on humility and I'm going to do these things to become humble, and we're going to leave it at that, instead of going to the Lord and be like, teach me to be humble. Okay. In that same frame, I want to talk about General Conference and General Conference goals. Now, I haven't solidified them yet. I'm going to take this whole week, and then we're going to start fresh next week with the new sort of goals and plans. Now, the themes that I got from the entire General Conference was, 1, get to the temple. That was number 1. Get to the temple. And number 2 was build a stronger relationship with Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ. And 3 was like a subsidiary of both, which is like prayers, your prayers matter, and covenants. Those were the three. So, sorry. Okay. So with that in mind, I went after conference, and the day was winding down. I went for a walk, and I was like, Heavenly Father, how do I go forward? I want to do these things, but I want to do them with you. I want to build a deeper relationship with you. How do I do it? Because I'm a person who likes a plan. I want a plan. I want a step-by-step to follow. That's what I want. I didn't get to have a full conversation with him on this walk, but I did feel like there were 3 things I needed to do. 1, focus on prayers. 2, learn about my covenants, like really study my covenants, really know what they are and understand them. And then 3, cracky, it's written down in my phone. Okay, what were they? Prayer, learn my covenants, find out who Jesus is and who he is to me. Those are the 3. So somehow I'm going to figure out how to turn those into goals, and that's what I'm going to be working on this week. And then next week I'm going to have new goals, new goals. So that's the plan. I think we're going to continue reading General Conference talks each week, just because one of the first things that President Nelson said in his talk was that he encourages us to study the talks of this conference repeatedly. That's what he said. So we're going to continue that, and we're going to continue our temple challenge, because get to the temple. That's get to the temple. All right. We can end there. So that was Jacob chapter 5, verses 1 through 15, and tomorrow we do 16 through 30. Let's end this video with a read it, do it. Jacob chapter 1, verses 1 through 19, they highlight verse 11. As you read the allegory of the olive tree, the word preserve shows up 20 times. You might want to mark them. To preserve means to guard or keep. Consider the ways the Lord is guarding or keeping you. All right. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.